The digital world is currently shaking at its very foundation. For the last few months, a suffocating silence had fallen over the OpenAI headquarters in San Francisco. Behind those glass walls, the atmosphere wasn't one of triumph, but of intense, high-stakes pressure. The rumors were true. The invincible giant was bleeding. Google's Gemini 3 Pro had done the unthinkable. It had climbed the leaderboards. It had integrated into every corner of the professional world, and it was starting to make ChatGPT look like a relic of the past. Then came the memo, a code red issued by Sam Altman himself. It was a wake-up call that echoed through every department. Stop the distractions, cancel the secondary projects, and focus on one thing and one thing only: survival. The result of that desperate, brilliant push is finally here. It is called GPT-5.2, and it is not just an update. It is a declaration of war. To understand why this model is the most important release in the history of artificial intelligence, we have to look at the battlefield of 2026. We are no longer in the era of simple chatbots that write poems or summarize emails. We are in the era of agentic intelligence. We are talking about systems that don't just talk to you, but work for you. And in this arena, the competition between OpenAI and Google has become the most expensive and dangerous technological rivalry in human history. Let's break down the weapon OpenAI has just unleashed. GPT 5.2 isn't a single model. It's a sophisticated hierarchy of intelligence designed to dominate every specific use case. First, we have GPT 5.2 Instant. This is the model designed for the fast-paced reality of the modern world. It is the sprinter. Speed-optimized, responsive, and incredibly efficient. It handles the millions of daily queries, writing, translation, and basic information seeking, with a latency that makes previous models feel like they were running on dial-up. It is the frontline soldier, ensuring that OpenAI remains the fastest tool in the pocket of every student and casual user. But then, we move into the heavy artillery. GPT 5.2 Thinking. This is the heart of the Code Red response. This model is built for the deep thinkers, the architects, and the scientists. It is a reasoning beast. When you engage thinking mode, the model doesn't just predict the next word. It internalizes the problem, maps out multi-step logic, and verifies its own path before it ever speaks. This is where the benchmarks get truly terrifying for the competition. In the high-stakes world of software engineering, GPT 5.2 Thinking has achieved a staggering score on the SWE-bench Pro. It is now capable of navigating complex, multi-filed repositories, understanding the deep architectural intent of a project, and fixing bugs that would take a human senior developer hours to diagnose. It's not just generating code, it's engineering solutions. And at the very top of the pyramid sits GPT 5.2 Pro. This is the elite tier, designed for the enterprise world, where precision is the difference between billions made and billions lost. Pro is the model for the most difficult problems, the ones that require massive context windows, perfect accuracy, and the ability to handle long-term planning without losing the thread. This is OpenAI's bid to become the foundational operating system for the global economy. But Google is not backing down. Gemini 3 Pro is a formidable opponent that has something OpenAI is still struggling to match: total native multimodality. While GPT 5.2 has improved its vision layers significantly, Gemini 3 Pro was born in the world of images, video, and audio. It doesn't just see an image. It understands the spatial relationships, the lighting, and the deep context within a video file as if it were a human observer. Google's advantage lies in its empire. Gemini 3 Pro is woven into the fabric of Google Workspace. It's in your docs, it's parsing your sheets, and it's organizing your drive. For the business world, this integration is a massive moat that OpenAI is desperately trying to bridge with its new API-first strategy. Google's vision metrics remain the strongest in the mass market, and for any workflow that is heavy on visual reasoning or media production, Gemini 3 Pro is still the king. However, the Code Red memo focused on a critical weakness in Google's armor: deep, multi-step reasoning and mathematical consistency. This is where GPT-5.2 strikes back with clinical precision. Research leads at OpenAI have pointed out that math is the ultimate proxy for intelligence. If a model can maintain numerical consistency over a 50-page financial report, it can be trusted. GPT 5.2. Thinking has shown 38% fewer errors than its predecessor, a massive leap that makes it the most dependable model for day-to-day decision-making and high-level research. The stakes of this war are reflected in the numbers. We are talking about a $1.4 trillion investment in AI infrastructure. OpenAI is betting everything on the idea that superior reasoning is the ultimate product, but running these thinking models is incredibly expensive. They chew through compute power at a rate that would bankrupt a smaller company. The cost of inference, the money spent every time the model thinks, is now being paid in billions of dollars in cash. OpenAI is trapped in a vicious cycle. They must spend more on compute to win the benchmarks. But the more they win, the more they have to spend to keep the models running at scale. Fidji Simo, OpenAI's chief product officer, argues that the arc of efficiency will save them, that we are getting more intelligence for every dollar spent than we were a year ago. But the market is watching closely. Can OpenAI sustain this level of spending while Google use its massive ad revenue engine to subsidize the development of Gemini? One of the most interesting drama points in this release is what is not there. Where is the new image generator? While Google's Nano Banana and Nano Banana Pro have been going viral for their eerie, hyper-realistic, and unedited vibes, OpenAI has remained strangely quiet on the visual front. Rumors suggest that a massive update is coming in January to address this, but for now, Google owns the visual narrative of 2026. But perhaps the most significant part of the GPT 5.2 launch is the focus on agentic workflows. This is the buzzword of the year for a reason. Both companies are racing to build agents that can use tools, agents that can log into your bank, book your flights, write your software, and manage your calendar without you ever lifting a finger. GPT 5.2 is designed to be the default foundation for these agents. It is better at using tools, better at understanding long context instructions, and far more reliable when it comes to linking multi-step projects together. OpenAI is reporting that enterprise usage has surged because companies are finally finding a model they can trust to operate autonomously. So, who is the winner in the middle of 2026? If you are a developer, a researcher, or someone whose life depends on deep logic and complex problem solving, the answer is clear. GPT 5.2 is your weapon of choice. Its reasoning capabilities, especially in thinking mode, are currently unmatched. It is the most human-like in its ability to follow a logical thread to its conclusion without getting lost in the noise. However, if you are a creative, a media professional, or a business leader who is already deep in the Google ecosystem, Gemini 3 Pro offers a level of convenience and visual power that is hard to ignore. Its ability to process video and audio natively gives it a sixth sense that GPT 5.2 is still trying to replicate. The code red at OpenAI may have saved the company from a total loss of market share, but it has also signaled that the era of easy dominance is over. We are now in a grind, a battle of inches. Every benchmark score, every dollar of compute, and every new agentic feature is a tactical move in a war that will define the next decade of human history. As we look toward the end of 2026, the question isn't just which model is better. The question is, how much intelligence can we actually handle? And as these two giants continue to pour trillions into their digital gods, We are the ones standing in the middle, watching the world change faster than we ever thought possible. The AI Cold War is no longer cold, it is burning hot. And with GPT 5.2, OpenAI has proven that even when they are pushed to the edge, they are still capable of fighting back with everything they have. The throne is still up for grabs, and the next few months will decide who truly rules the future.